Hello, welcome to my channel DevOps with Prasanna. This is day 12 in Learn AWS in 30-day series. And today I'm going to talk about serverless architecture in AWS. This time I'm slightly changing the format of the session. So I'm going to take an actual application and then deploy it using the serverless services which are available in AWS. So I'll quickly show you the application. So this is the app which we are going to deploy. This is a DevOps Quiz portal. So the objective of this application is I'm planning to have this quiz portal for each and every course which I'm going to create. And the first 3 people to get maximum score in a course will get either AWS credits or Amazon gift voucher. So that is the objective. So again, I'll just repeat this again. This is a actual production application with the actual users in it. So, and as you can see, this involves database, this involves user interface front-end, back-end, and then database, which means it's a proper 3-tier application. And it involves other things also. For example, authentication, authorization, and things as well. I'm going to give an overview of the services. And from tomorrow's session, we'll actually use that service and deploy the components of this application. Yeah, I'm very much excited. Let's get started. Jumping into the demo and the architecture discussions, I thought of giving you an update. So I've created a Telegram group specifically to cover the background information on creating these courses. So it will cover topics like when I publish a new session, or like what is happening in creating these courses. So that is the information which I want to share with you guys. So if you are interested, I've given the description, I've given the link to join the Telegram group. So please feel free to check it out and join the group. So today's session is going to be a very short session because I'm going to give the overview of the architecture. The actual explanation of each and individual service will be covered in the subsequent days. Yeah, and if you have any questions or suggestions about the services which we are going to use, please let me know in the comments. Yeah. So this is a DevOps quiz portal. So you can see there is going to be like multiple questions, and we should be able to select the option and submit the quiz. This application, it's work in progress. So once it is complete, I'll update the description with the GitHub repository. Yeah, and this is going to be an open source application. And this tech stack is going to be, the front end is going to be implemented in Next.js, and the back end is going to be implemented in Python. And we are going to run Python code in Lambda, AWS Lambda. So coming to the architecture, so this is the architecture which I'm planning. And all the services here are serverless services in AWS. So the user will be talking to front-end application, and front-end will do the authentication. And then once authentication is successful, it will send the request to backend, and backend will save the information in database. And we are going to use OAuth providers, GitHub and Google, for doing the authentication. Now we'll come to the actual AWS services. So, yeah. So this is a 3-tier application. We have front end, we have back end, and we have database. So the front end, we are going to deploy it in AWS Amplify. So Amplify is a managed services by AWS. And the advantage here is we can very easily host the UI apps, the static application. And it has very good integration with Cognito. So Cognito is again a AWS service which can handle the user authentication, basically like all the user management for us. And we can implement the OAuth provider as well. So like we'll be having Google sign-in or GitHub sign-in. Yeah. And one more advantage with Amplify is we can easily integrate with other AWS services. Like as we discussed earlier, we'll be having integration with CloudWatch and other things. But apart from that, It can have integration with S3 buckets to store the static assets and with the Cognito for doing the authentication. Cool. So this is the reason we are using Amplify. And once all the authentication is done and once a quiz information is submitted, that information will be sent to backend. And we are going to use Lambda for the serverless compute. So the serverless, maybe like when we say serverless, there is actually going to be a server, but we are not going to maintain the server. So AWS is going to maintain the server for us. And the payment method is also a slightly different one. For example, if you use EC2 instance, we are going to pay for the time period in which the EC2 instance runs. But in case of Lambda, we are going to pay per the usage model, meaning like only when there is a request coming in and only for the time period in which the Lambda is running, we'll pay to the AWS. During the ideal time period, we'll not pay for the Lambda function. And the AWS has a generous limit for Lambda. So we'll see the exact limits and how we are going to set it up in the detailed section for each and every service. But the request will be processed by Lambda. In our case, it will compute the answers and it will calculate the score also for each and individual user. And because Lambda is a serverless function, we need some kind of REST layer on top of that. So Amazon API Gateway is going to be providing us the REST layer on top of the Lambda function. So our Amplify will talk to the REST endpoint provided by API Gateway, and that information will be passed to AWS Lambda. So why API Gateway? So API Gateway provides the REST layer on top of Lambda, and we can easily monitor the APIs. We can see how many APIs gives a response code as 500 or 400, whatever things. Like the dashboard is pretty neat with the API Gateway. And scaling of APIs is also like very simple. Again, this also follows a pay-per-use model. That is the power of API Gateway. And the last one which we want to talk about is DynamoDB. So once the results are computed, all the information will be stored in DynamoDB database. So DynamoDB is again a serverless database, and it is a high performance NoSQL database. We'll be seeing about the what is the actual performance and what is like guaranteed by AWS and how to improve the performance further using DAX and things like that. But that will be like covered as part of deep dive session in DynamoDB. And again, like this will be managed by AWS itself. We just need to create the tables and we just need to provision the capacity which we want to use. So I think like this looks cool. So this is going to be the AWS services which we are going to use for this particular session. And the format which I have planned is for each and every day, we'll take a AWS service. We'll discuss about the concepts involved in each and every service. For example, Amplify, API Gateway, Lambda, and the cost aspect also. And at the same time, we'll deploy this quiz portal into the corresponding AWS service. So that is the thing, objective. And yeah, like I'm very much excited. So we'll see about AWS Amplify in tomorrow's session. Yeah, thank you.